Well, I think first of all, it's important that we all realize as part of the human family that none of us should take glee whenever there's war and the loss of innocent human life or the loss of any life, really. It's a tragic thing that it has to be this way. I will tell you that I think that Israel takes no pleasure in doing the bombing and the things that they're doing right now. I think that they are responding to what they saw and see as an existential threat if Iran should become a nuclear armed nation. And this is not something that's new. As it happens, I was the first member of Congress back when Iran had only 160 centrifuges in a very nascent stage of a pursuit of nuclear weapons. And we've had a lot of years to try to correct this. And unfortunately, Iran continued to relentlessly move toward a nuclear weapons capability, and they came very, very, very close. And unfortunately, the jury is not out here. We don't know whether or not the Iranian nuclear pursuit has been completely arrested or not. Well, I am convinced that of course, America will support Israel in this situation. The president did everything I think he could to try to bring Iran to the peace table, and they did get to the peace table, but Iran insisted on continuing to enrich uranium, which is really the whole issue. If you can enrich uranium even to 3%, you can enrich it to 90%. And once you have 90% enriched uranium, you can make atomic bombs if you have the technology of a Boy Scout troop. So the truth is that I think, yes, America will continue to support Israel. I've always been a strong supporter of Israel. And I hope that somehow, when this is all over, that the Iranian people have a government that will respect who they are and that will lay hold on the ideal that leadership means trying to do the right thing for your people and trying to join the League of Nations in a peaceful way, the other nations of the world in a peaceful way. And I hope that that happens for the sake of Iran, for the sake of Israel, for the sake of the whole world. Well, first of all, the latest reports I've seen show Israel beginning to attack some of the Iranian oil facilities. And so that's going to be of consequence anyway. There's going to be an anomaly in the oil price and the oil supply as it relates to Iran. And I can only tell you that if Iran succeeds in closing the Hormuz Straits, the American military has strategies to open it back up. So it probably is not worth their time or while to do that because we see this as a vital national interest in America. And so I would hope Iran would not do that because it would be a mistake on their part. Well, China and Russia should both be ashamed of themselves for trying to foment terrorism and let Iran take the credit for it. They have done everything they could to let Iran be sort of a stumbling block to the world related to terrorism, and Russia and China have tried to sort of encourage that without doing so openly. And it's a disgrace what they've done. Now that they see that this is taking place, I think they're going to be much more circumspect and probably back away from some of their duplicitous efforts. But yeah, Iran is now taking a terrible beating because they listened to some of the countries like China that encouraged them to continue to be a stumbling block to freedom in the world. Well, I mean, I am convinced that Iran will slowly and inexorably lose the support of China and Russia, not because the Russian ideals or the ideals of Mr. Putin, who's a thug of the first magnitude, and not because of China, who is probably the CCP is one of the most dangerous and most malignant forces in the entire world, opposing innocent the freedom for innocent human lives and human dignity. But the bottom line is that now they see that that was a bad investment to try to prop up Iran in their efforts to foment terrorism across the world and to be again, I call it a stumbling block, sort of an obstacle in the way of freedom and the Western world? Well, I'm always one that believes, I was a hawk for defense in the United States Congress and continue to be, but I always believe that there is a time to talk and a time to put away discussion. But if there's any opportunity for peace to emerge here, if there's any opportunity for Iran to say, all right, we are willing to do away with any sort of nuclear enrichment or uranium enrichment or anything that would move toward fissile materials and put aside this violent dream of nuclear weapons, I always believe that it's important for people to be able to talk. And I think the door is open. The President of the United States has certainly left that door open. He said that he wants to continue to talk. I know that it's a long shot at this point, so I don't take a strong prediction on whether there will be any more talks. It's obvious that it seems like that's going to be truncated, to say the least, but I certainly am always in favor of trying to find a peaceful solution. But it has to be a solution. It can't be another false lie. And Iran has lied to the world. They've said that they were not trying to pursue nuclear weapons, and that is completely false. They have been trying to pursue nuclear weapons. And when they said they would be open to putting those things away, they lied again. And unfortunately, it became so serious, they became so close to a threshold of nuclear weapons that Israel felt so threatened that they then responded as they've done. Well, first of all, as a former member of the United States Congress, I'm not going to be in the position of second guessing a president like Donald Trump, who I think has tried to do his best to bring a peaceful solution to this. I think he was very sincere in that effort. And so I'm not going to question whether or not he green-lighted the Israelis or not. I will tell you that there is a close relationship between Israel. I was a former member a former chairman of the Israel caucus in Congress. So there is a strong connection here between Israel and America. But I do believe that Donald Trump was trying to pursue a peaceful solution. And unfortunately, the Iranians openly said to the world in the last couple of weeks that they would continue to enrich uranium no matter what, and that they were even going to open another enrichment plant in the midst of these discussions. And this was the central issue. I had private discussions about this with very well-meaning people, and there was an openness on their part to say that Iran should do away with nuclear enrichment. There was a thought on their part that Iran would do away with nuclear enrichment. But unfortunately, Iran's leadership decided otherwise, and they brought terrible suffering and death on their people, and it is a tragedy. I hope at the end of this tragic situation that Iran has new leadership, and I hope the Iranian people rise up and realize that they have been deceived and they have been treated like slaves to this Iranian regime, and they need to rise up and be who they are. The Iranian people are a noble people, and the world stands by and ready to help them find their way in the life in the history of this thing called human life, so that they can be who they really want to be. I don't think the Iranian people support these madmen that have been at their helm and their leadership for the last more than 50 years. I believe Israel's singular objective was to take away this existential threat that the Iranian leaders brought into the world by pursuing nuclear weapons and telling everyone that they were out to destroy Israel and to wipe every Jewish person off the map, and that America was the great Satan and Israel was the little Satan. They made these things very clear. Ahmadinejad said, "We will force you to bow down." This was a failure of leadership. This was an absolute duplicitous, lying group of leaders who were dedicated to an Islamist terrorism, and they threatened the world. And finally, now that threat has been answered. And I don't think Israel was out to be involved in the Iranian political structure. I'm sure, like me, like everyone, they hoped that the Iranian people would have leaders that would reflect who they truly were, not these lunatics that have been in power for the last 50 years. And so I'm sure Israel's glad that and hopeful that there will be a change in leadership. But I don't think that was ever their objective. Their objective was to remove the very real, very dangerous, very inexorable threat that faced the Israeli people. Their government is dedicated to protecting the Israeli people, the people of Israel. And an Iranian nuclear capability threatened the very existence of Israel. Israel, we can put 10 Israels in the state of Arizona where I live. They are a small country. They are a one-bomb nation. They do not have the luxury of standing by and letting lunatics like Khamenei and others gain control of nuclear weapons after these lunatics have promised to destroy Israel. I don't think that's a hard concept to understand. Well, I pray, as I've said earlier, that the Iranian people rise up and put away these lunatic leaders that have so disserved them and so tortured the nation of Iran and twisted it into becoming the world's largest sponsor of terrorism. The Iranian government has been an evil in the world. They've been a malignant force. And now it's time for the Iranian people to rise up and put them away and to choose their own leaders. America and Israel are not out to try to choose puppet governments for Iran. We want Iranian people to choose good leaders. And I believe it's certainly within their capability and their desire to do so. And I pray that they do. And I pray for the people of Iran. I pray for the people of Israel. I pray for the world. I pray that somehow we realize that we're all just human beings. We're all children of God, and we all want to be able to live and be free and pursue our dreams. That's the American ideal. That should be, in a sense, the ideal of the whole world. And that means putting away this ideal of hellish terrorism and destroying people because of their faith or because of some ideological perspective that doesn't meet your own. Right, right. Well, I spent some time in Iraq just in the last couple of months, and I believe the Iraqi people are a lot like the Iranian people. They want to find peace, and I believe that Prime Minister Sadani wants to see peace in Iraq, and obviously he would want to protect his people. Obviously, he would want to protect the economic interests that are in Iraq, whether they're American interests or anyone that's trying to bring commerce and productivity to Iraq for the sake of its people to be able to sustain them. So I don't think that's a hard thing to understand. The world understands one thing, that Iran has inexorably pursued nuclear weapons with which to carry out a very malignant, very evil goal and objective. And the world did everything that we could. I mean, I know I did. I tried very hard in Congress to warn the world of this situation before it got so dangerous and before war was seemingly the only thing that could be resorted to. And yet these Iranian leaders were such lunatics and so evil that they wouldn't listen. And now they have brought death and destruction on the country that they say that they want to lead. And I pray that the Iranian people are finally free of them. And it's time for the Iranian people to rise up and say, this is not who we are. We want to be at peace with the world. We want to be able to raise our families and see them grow and lay hold on this miracle of life and find our place in the world that God intended all along for the people of Iran.